All right, starting up the stream here. Starting up the stream, getting everything like I want it. Welcome everybody if you're joining me. Give me a minute to start the stream up here. Get my chat window like I want it. I can't really see the chat yet. Let's see here. Welcome everybody if you're joining us. Setting everything up here. Hopefully you can hear me all right. Let me drag the chat window here. Drag myself over here. And okay. All right. So this is kind of a last minute stream. Just to really chat for just a minute. I see a lot of people joining in. And if we have a small group, that's fine. If we have a bigger group, that's fine too. Looking at the chat here, I see JJ Zone. Thanks for being a mod, by the way. Arbulon Man 25, that's a new face. Nice to see you. MG Gatful, is that what it says? Hello. We got Matt Frank, we got Savage Skeleton, we've got Nolan Patrick, we've got Gabby. Thanks for joining us. Let's see, Ruzi, who's a new mod. And this will be a Q&A if you want to ask questions or if you want to make a comment about content or the channel or anything else, or school life, whatever. So got a good little group here, good little starting group. So Jacob Doffing kicks us off with the first question. He says, how long have you been a principal and do you like your job? So I'm still an administrator. I'm not a principal. I'm not in that role. I used to be for a long time. So I've been an administrator since 2013. But I've gone to different roles. So I was in the principal role for 4 years. And this channel was started during that period of time. So hopefully the volume's all right. Thanks for somebody said that they can hear me. I'm going to try and read, since this is strictly a Q&A session or a discussion, I'm going to try and read everybody's messages. So if you type something, it'll probably get read. And as always, if there's a donation, I will skip straight to the donation. And you guys can see where I'm at in the chat here, I think, on your window. JJ Zone, would you rather have Seth or Patrick as a student? You mean like Seth from Ned's? Seth all the way. Seth's not quite as bad as Patrick. Kaimani's here. Nice to see you. I appreciate your comment and your super thanks the other day on the Avatar video. I'm doing fine. I hope you're doing well too. Loadsat is here. I recognize the avatar there. Orbulon Man says, I have so many questions. Brian Hicks is here. Ruzi says, I'm happy I got the day off to be here. Orbulon Man says, what made you decide to react to SpongeBob? So the story behind that is I started my channel in June of 2023 is when School Principal Reacts was born. So a couple months, I would just do random stuff that I wanted to do because no one watched the channel at that point. It was a brand new channel. So a few months after, I would get comments every once in a while, and someone said, hey, you should do the boating school. SpongeBob SquarePants, there's a boating school. I didn't know that because I didn't watch SpongeBob. So I said, okay, I'll do it. And I did it, and then the channel, those first few videos got a lot of views. So the channel started to take off at that point. All right, let me see. Let me get going so I don't get behind here. Gold Glee Gamer, who's a channel member, says hello. MG Gatful says, how's your SpongeBob episode? I don't know what you mean by that. Nolan says, what's your favorite SpongeBob character? If I had to pick one, I'd probably go Sandy, Sandy the Squirrel. So she's always the voice of reason. Windy Indy says hello. Gabby says she's asking me if I've started watching the Big Birthday Blowout. So I have not, and here's why. I think you already know this. I think I mentioned this to you, that I was going to, and then right around the time you and I were talking about that, the big Paramount issue happened where Paramount was going to buy Warner Brothers or something. I don't know. I'm probably saying that wrong. But during that period of time, Paramount was just blocking everything. So I had to really focus all my energy in dealing with that because I had already made a bunch of SpongeBob reactions that were getting blocked and stuff. Not that I was doing anything different, because I do play by the rules. I know how YouTube does it. So they just started blocking everything. And I'd heard other creators say the same thing, people that react to SpongeBob. So, but after a period of time, that ended. And so now I guess I can look at that again. Although it is going to be kind of difficult because of how long it is. So let's see. John Smith is here. T-Bone, happy Maxed Out Monday. Anakin Skywalker says, I love your SpongeBob reactions from season 1, 2, 3, and 4. Can you do Okay, you're listing some very specific episodes. You're going to have to give me some titles. Ruzi says the volume is good. Thank you. JJ, thank you for that. Matt Frank says, speaking of Avatar, what do you think of Avatar? It's a pretty good show. I like it, especially after I watched Winter Solstice, because a lot of stuff in the series makes a little bit more sense now. Angelo says, can you do Choir Boys? Don't know what that is. Jeff Roberts says, hi. JJ says, favorite episode between Cracked Crabs, Krusty Towers, or Crabs versus Plankton? It's Crabs versus Plankton, the one I just watched here recently. Shanae Thompson says, you should react to Victorious Where's the Heat Wave? Okay, I'm sure I'll get there. Orbulon Man says, what are your favorite SpongeBob episodes? Well, JJ just named them. That would be Cracked Crabs, Krusty Towers, and Crabs versus Plankton. Chanae says, have you ever seen the Krusty Krab training video? I have, and you can see my reaction to it. It was probably a year ago or more. But yeah, it's there. Video Master says, favorite episode of Victorious so far? I don't know. The most interesting ones to me, the stage fighting one was pretty good. Robarazzi, that one was pretty interesting and had a lot for me to talk about. Also, the Cat's New Boyfriend episode had a lot for me to talk about. Those three, I think, would be a toss-up between those three. Mr. White says, been watching you since your first SpongeBob video react. That was a long time ago. That was over 2 years ago. So I appreciate you watching all that time. Back in the, 500,000 subscriber days. I think we just passed 21,000. And I say we because you guys are part of that for sure. Brandon Clardy says you should do more Recess. I do plan to go back to that, by the way. I plan to film a little bit right after this live stream, which is not, I don't plan on going like 2 hours, but we'll go for a little while. Chanae says, I assume SpongeBob is over 40, but below 50. Gabby says, I knew it was Sandy. Mine is Karen after my ego. Yeah, I remember that. And I remember the accent as well. Chanae says, fave episode of Ned's. Now that I've seen the whole entire series, it's tough to recall them all. I remember liking the elections episode and the pep rallies episode from way back in season 1 or 2. Man, there's so many good ones. I need to go back. Maybe on a stream I can go back through them and talk about them and pick out my favorites. Where we can discuss Ned's a little bit. And kind of, a lot of you all said you missed that on the channel. So we'll go back and have a Ned's live stream sometime. Not this one, but we will. MJ Gatful says, I'm from Home Sweet Pineapple episode. Okay, yeah, that one was all right. Wasn't my favorite. Jamal Sampson says, Paramount is awful now. Spider-Man says, what's your favorite show growing up as a kid? I don't know. I don't know. Somehow I got all into Star Trek. I'll tell you that. So I would watch that. I would watch Star Trek: The Next Generation, Star Trek Voyager, all that stuff. They say what you want about that. That's what I somehow got into. Um, I'm excited. Nolan Patrick says, I'm excited for you to watch the Victorious iCarly crossover. A lot of people said that. I do remember that. Brian Nussbaum says, did you enjoy seeing Josh show up in Victorious? I actually didn't notice until someone pointed that out. I didn't notice it while I was watching the episode. Joseph Roth says, hi, Brandon. Hope you had a nice Easter yesterday, and I hope you spent Easter with your family. Yep, for sure. JJ Zone says, fave Drake and Josh episode. Josh is done. Megan's new teacher football or the one. I liked the football one just because there was a lot for me to talk about. And please excuse me. Hope it's not loud on your end. Opening my Mountain Dew Zero Sugar that I'm going to need here. All right. Shanae Thompson says, please do Jimmy Neutron. I plan to eventually. Big Guy says, hello there. John Smith says, for several complicated reasons, Victorious didn't have a proper finale. Okay. Sorry if I shorten your message. I'm going to have to because I'm getting behind. 07725 says, hello. Danger Dave, nice to see you back on the channel. What are your thoughts on education today versus 20 years ago in terms of technology? Growing up, we had those huge monitor PCs and book bags full of books. It's good. Now, I have seen technology overused, like teachers who don't like really teach and they just, rely too much on the technology. It's great if you know how to use it. And there are so many resources out, way more now than there was then, to say the very least. Ruzi says, are there any other Nickelodeon shows you'd be interested in reacting to? Certainly. There's quite a few that have been recommended. It's just a crowded list. Big Guy says, with all due respect, we need a much better organized U.S. Department of Education. Yeah, you're gonna get me excited here on my little soapbox. So many people in the comments of my videos and other videos about education, they'll say, well, the school system is so bad. And I always try to point out to them, in the U.S., there is no school system. There are thousands of different school systems that all do things very differently sometimes, even within a state. Like in my state of Georgia, you can go to one system and it'll be great, and another and it'll be horrible, and it's because of different reasons, sometimes because of the way they do it, the way that they run things. So, like, what happens is someone will have a really bad experience somewhere or have something bad happen to them, and they'll say, well, the school system is bad. What they mean is that particular school system of the thousands that exist in the U.S. So the U.S. Department of Education that you mentioned, Big Guys, is not all that impactful on a day-to-day basis. The only thing that they really do that really would be a bad thing if it went away is some of the funding, some of the title programs that come from the federal government. Excuse me. I'm thirsty here. You can see I need my Mountain Dew. I can't talk without it, apparently. But it's complicated, Big Guys. Brian Nussbaum says, who's your favorite Victorious character? There's a few of them I like, but I think Tori's my favorite, actually. Now, there are a few episodes where her character's not the best, but she's usually the voice of reason. Usually the voice of reason. In the next episode, Walk Star, which comes out tomorrow, you already have it if you're a channel member. She's kind of the voice of reason in that one as well, trying to keep Jade from completely losing it. So, okay. JJ says, Jade or Trina? Definitely Jade. Muhu says, hi, I love your videos. I appreciate it. Savage says, where did you get the SpongeBob plushes? The ones that are right here? I don't remember. I think one of them at least came from Five Below, maybe. I think the other one might have come from Walmart. Nowhere special, just regular retail stores, actually. H. Sullivan, channel member, and I think you upgraded recently to Teacher's Pet. I think that's correct. If that's correct, thank you very much, Sullivan. You've been part of the channel for a long, long time. I see a donation. I'm going to skip straight down to it. Oh, man, I'm behind. It's Kaimani Burrell. Of course it is. So thank you so much, Kaimani. You've been a huge supporter of the channel. Kaimani says, which would you say would be the next Avatar episode you'd react to? I understand maybe in May or soon. I understand the list is long. My friend, it is whatever episode you say it is. Those Avatar videos would not exist without you. So a number of people recently, I think you mentioned it too, was it I forgot. It's one of the bending masters. I forgot. I honestly forgot. There's a few of them you've mentioned to me. Let me know here which one you'd like me to do next, and I'll do that one next, now that I finally got all 4 winter solstice videos there. All right, let me scroll back up, and I'm going to have to start going fast and maybe skipping messages. All right. I was right around here. If you're a channel member, I guarantee I'll read your message, though. H. Sullivan says, I heard Facebook and YouTube had to pay a settlement because they failed to protect kids. I don't know if that's true or not. I do know in the last school district I worked for, they had specific policies, and I see this more and more, where they'll only let technology companies use their apps in the school if they have a data sharing policy that's conducive to privacy, and if they don't, they ban it. So that comes into play. Gold Glee Gamer says, have you ever checked out Legal Eagle's reaction to Crabs versus Plankton? I actually did. I did it years ago when it came out, back when Legal Eagle was a good channel. Sorry if you're a Legal Eagle fan. Like 3 years ago and before that, he was great. Devin was great. He was funny. He was interesting. He gave his expertise. And then he decided, and I like the JAG officer guy. I forgot his name. He's pretty good. I don't like the lady who's on there. If you look at his videos, it's like the same thumbnail over and over of her making this ridiculous face. It's just so annoying. She's very annoying. And Devin, unfortunately, has gotten annoying because it's one thing. His videos are one thing over and over again, and it's not entertaining anymore, right? But 3 years ago and before that, it was funny. It was interesting. He gave his legal perspective. I wish he would go back to that. If he would go back to that, I would watch his videos again. But yes, I have seen it back in Legal Eagle's heyday, back when it was good. I have seen it. Okay. Big guys. Principal Brandon has done so many SpongeBob episodes. Thank you. So I'm gonna zoom through these because I'll never make it because I'm way behind. I'm sorry if I skip your message. Damian Kurtz says hello. New person. Grace Lane says, are you interested in reacting to any teen dramas? Well, I'm doing it right now with Victorious, so yes. I'm gonna have to skip some. Sorry if I skip yours. Angelo says, do Drake and Josh. Mindy loves Josh. It's a school episode. So I will get back to that at some point. Mary Robert is here. Let's see. Joseph Roth, you are right. There's some things that do happen that would probably get them expelled, but standards are a wee bit lower at Hollywood Arts. Wendy Indy said, love to see Fillmore again if you weren't too vexed. No, it was good. I actually really enjoyed Fillmore. If I ever get time enough, I'll do it. It was kind of long. I will say that. It took a long time to film and edit it. JJ says, you gave the when you like somebody else. Oh, I gave that one a 10 out of 10. I understand now. Lod Sat says, my brother's keeper from Danny Phantom. It is still on the list, and of the Danny Phantom ones, it's up there. Key the Quiet Gal says, I'll be there soon. Okay. I'm going to have to just scroll down. Chanae Thompson mentions the Halloween special from Danny Phantom. Matt Frank says, what made you choose to put in an application for principal and not teacher? So, you typically don't go straight from teacher to principal, but I decided to become an administrator just because I wanted to help people. I wanted to be able to make the decisions that would will really help people out. John Smith says, have you seen the Star Trek Picard show? I did see it. I saw it right when it came out. That's a Paramount original. It was pretty good. I actually enjoyed that one. It was pretty good. Let's see. Turner Winstead, could you arrange the last Victorious reaction for a live reaction at the end of the school year? I don't know if I do one a week where we'll end up, so we'll just have to see. And I see Kaimani here again, 17 months. He must have extended his subscription or something. He says, yes, that was it. The waterbending master and the waterbending scroll. These teach Aang the Avatar waterbending. I would recommend checking out The Storm. That was it. That was the one you mentioned. First, to get more story and keeping both Aang and Zuko scenes. I'll try and do it. That one's going to be next. The Storm. All right. I'm going to have to just skip a whole swath of these. Okay, I already read those. Let's do channel members. Ruzi says, love a good taste of Mountain Dew. Yep. All right, I'll come back to these if I have time. Shajita says, hello, Brandon. I don't know if I've asked you this, but can you imagine how blessed it would be if you got to meet the cast of SpongeBob? Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. Shajita says, I like Tom Kenny, Roger Bumpus, Clancy Brown. Yeah, exactly. Robin Cruz says, see, I corrected myself. Will you react to Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies? Yeah, that started getting recommended very early in the channel, and then other stuff sort of overtook it, so I'll have to go back to it. Turner Winstead said, who would you say is worse, Jade or Flats? Flats. Daniel Davenroy says, hey, Principal, good day today. Shajita says, this is a good thing to listen to while I traverse through the Himalayan mountains in Far Cry 4. Okay. All right, you've got me going, and you've got Far Cry 4 going. Okay. All right, I'm going to scroll down. I'll scroll back up if I have time. Miss T is here. Hey there, just finished up a road trip from South Georgia to PA. Glad to be part of the stream. Wow. Okay, that's long. Turner Winstead says, who's your favorite student in all the schools you've seen in the series you've reacted to? That's a hard one. Favorite student. I'll throw out some favorites, right? So I already said, not Trina. Tori is one of my favorites. Tori and Robbie, I would say, favorites and Victorious. Ned's, I would have to go Seth. It's pretty funny. I don't know why I like his character so much. I just do. SpongeBob. SpongeBob was a good student as well, as odd as that sounds. Nolan says his favorite character is Andre. Yeah, Andre's pretty good. He's pretty good. He's good, but he doesn't really stand out that much. Chanae Thompson mentions Danny Phantom, the ultimate enemy. That, I think, is the highest rated or the highest recommended Danny Phantom episode. All right, let me scroll down, and I see, what did Kaimani do this time? He gifted some memberships. Okay, Kaimani is like a legend on this channel. If you don't know this, Kaimani Burrell is a legend on this channel. He is also a principal's office level member, one of 2 or 3 that we have. So what did he do? He gifted a bunch of memberships, I think 5 of them. So H. Crayert received a channel membership, and if you get one of these, I think it's Hall Pass, which is the lowest one, but that still gets you into the Discord, and you can upgrade, I think, for cheaper, I think. Who got the other ones? JJ Zone, the mod, got one. Danger Dave got one. Spikes, he donated 6 total. Spikes 5578 got a free membership. Miss T got a free membership. And Acosta PNW got a free membership. Okay, congrats, receivers of the gifts from Kaimani. You can thank him for that. All right, W. Kaimani. All right. I'm going to just sort of skip to here to Kaimani's other gift here. Thanks again for that. So, Ryan Silver says, love the SpongeBob and Patrick here in the background. He says you need Squidward to go in the middle. Yeah, that would be good. Squidward, or better yet, Mr. Krabs. I need to get me a Mr. Krabs and maybe a Squidward. Okay. Turner Winstead. How big of a punishment can teachers give if student uses an answer key? So cheating on a test, usually the worst you're going to get is failing that test. I've never heard of anybody who is like suspended or something for cheating. Usually you're going to get a 0. Now, if it continues like over and over and over, there's going to be a parent conference, maybe with the principal, to talk about, what are we doing here? Okay. What else we got here? Ashley J.A. says, have you seen the Ron Clark story? And J.J. says he met Ron Clark. Yeah, I went there. I went to the Ron Clark Academy and met him. And wow, Kaimani, what did he do? He gifted 5 more memberships. Do you believe this? What is this man doing? So the following people received a gift membership. And again, I think it's Hall Pass. It's the lowest one, but still. Brian Nussbaum I would say he deserves it. He's active on the channel. Jonas Gronus, the mod, got a gift membership. Samantha Robinson got a membership. Alex U2 got a free membership. And Landon 7H8H got a free membership. Wow. 5 more free memberships. Thank you, Kaimani. I'm sure the people are probably thanking you down here. I'm going to scroll up just a little bit, not a lot. Let's see. JJ's, would you ever do a read aloud series? Yeah, I would, but that's not what this channel is about. But yes. Red Muhammad says, how old were you when you were first principal? That's an interesting question. Let's see. I first became an administrator in general when I was 30, I believe. I think that's right. Principal. I was how old when I became principal? That was 2021, I think. And I would have been 38 or 39, somewhere around there. So that would have been summer of 2021. I would have been 38. So there you go. I was 38 at that time. Okay. Wumbo says, what episode are you in victorious now? So as you know, Walk Star comes out tomorrow. I've also already reacted to the Film by Dale Squires episode, and then I think there's one more too. The one that I'm on is the Freak Out. No spoilers, please. I haven't seen it yet, so that's the one I'm on. H. Crayer, Spanish speaker. Entre los personajes de todas las series a las que has reaccionado, ¿quién es tu favorito? He's basically asking, of all the personalities of the series I've reacted to, which is my favorite. ¿Qué diría? What would I say? De todos los series, all the series. Someone else asked which is my favorite student, but he's asking which is my favorite character in general. Yo no sé, hay tantas. There's so many of them. If I had to pick one, I would probably say I might go Sandy. Sandy the Squirrel is my all-time favorite. There's a lot of them. I like Mr. Krabs, too. He's just funny. I don't know. I'd just say Sandy for the purposes of the question. Turner Winstead, is this year's going to be a teacher, student, or principal? Oh, the tier list? I don't know yet, but I've got to get working on that because June is the channel's birthday. Gold Glee Gamer, channel member. If I had to recommend another SpongeBob, it would be Dunces and Dragons. Danger Dave says, yeah, Legal Eagle was better when he just covered law cases. Yep. All right, I'm going to have to skip some of your messages. Sorry about that. Turner Winstead, what is the furthest field trip your school has gone on? So, Italy. Wow. So, there's a lot of study abroad, or not study abroad, but international trip programs, but those tend to be extremely expensive. As a student, I remember going to Washington, D.C. That was pretty cool. I also went to Meridian, Mississippi one time. That was pretty far away for me. When I was at the art school that I talk about a lot on Victorious, like Hollywood Arts, I think they went to New York. Actually, I think they went overseas a couple of times because they would have performing groups that would get invited overseas. I think they may have gone to France or Ireland. I can't remember. That was a pretty long time ago. Okay, what else? Spike says, this might sound like a stupid question, but are you still a principal? And if so, do any of your students know about the channel? So when I was principal, not that many students knew about the channel. Some did, and they would come up to me and ask me about it. I typically would not talk about it at school for a bunch of different reasons, but I stopped being a principal in, I guess, 2025. So I'm still an administrator. I just don't have that exact title. All right, I see a donation or membership or something. Lodsat bought a Hall Pass membership. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that for sure. All right, let me scroll up a little bit and just... Turner Winstead says, what is your favorite line from the SpongeBob narrator? I think I'm going to have to go 2 hours later, which is probably not a great version of that, but it's fine. Shajita, channel member. So I know, he says, so I'll know you'll probably never react to Persona, but when I react to school sections, I look at them and say, if Brandon saw that, he would say, yeah, that's a potential firing. Yeah, you're probably right from what I've heard about it. JJ says, are you planning to do Fall Guys Part 2 on Thursday? Yeah, I think that would be good. I am planning another live stream on Thursday that I'll try to advertise a little bit better, even though we've got 56 people here, which in the grand scheme of live streams is not a lot. But I heard another streamer say like this, like, what if you were just sitting around at your house and you had 56 people, there with you? That would be a little bit different. Okay. Sinja Alex says, watching your reactions of Ned's Declassified. Yeah, if you're new to the channel, a lot of people have found my channel recently and are going back and basically binge watching the entire Ned's series. Same with Victorious, with last week's Sleepover at Psychowitz's episode, which is still getting views. YouTube is still promoting it. It's doing quite well. I think it's over 10,000 views. But people are finding it without having seen my other reaction videos to Victorious, and they're going back and watching all the previous episodes, which is good for the channel. But to answer your question, my favorite character, teacher or staff member is what the question was. It would probably be Mr. Wright, I would say. I also liked Mr. Monroe, was pretty good. Coach Durga also had her good moments. There's a lot of good characters there. Let's see. Turner Winstead said, do you think you can do SpongeBob birthday blowout on your birthday? Well, if I do that, Gabby's going to be pretty mad. Because I didn't share it, but my birthday was actually last month. Maybe next year the channel will be big enough. Maybe I'll feel it appropriate to mention that, but I didn't want to bring any attention to it. But it was last month. Okay, so you guys are all saying thank you to Kaimani. And let's see. Let me scroll down. Samantha Robinson says, hey, Brandon, would you react to the show The Wonder Pets? Sure. I don't know much about it. And then y'all are all thanking Kaimani again here on the screen for the channel memberships. Robin Cruz says, are we going to see any Arthur? I've got to do some Arthur. Arthur has been recommended for a long time, and I've never done an Arthur. I've got to do some Arthur. Thank you, Robin Cruz. She says, would love to know your thoughts on the characters Mr. Ratburn and the principal, Mr. Haney. I've got to do some Arthur. All right. 0775 says, not so fun fact in China. If you got caught cheating on a college entrance exam, you could be arrested and sentenced to 7 years. Wow. Yeah, it's a little bit different in China as far as that kind of stuff. He says, not so fun fact. People say that a lot on my channel, fun fact. It's usually something that has already been stated a bunch, but I do enjoy seeing viewer comments like that. Makarov says, any upcoming MLP episodes? I do want to go back to MLP. Those videos did quite well, and I genuinely enjoyed it. You can see my Little Pony figurines up here. What do I have? Let me move my big head for a minute. I have the principal's office mug here. I've got Hey Arnold. I've got the portrait that was painted of the channel logo. I've got Patrick and SpongeBob. I've got some random plant here. I've got some random books about music. I've got my YouTube clapperboard that I got. And today, I got a backpack from YouTube. And I do have it. I do have it over here. Just a minute. Okay. So I didn't think it was in this room, but I did get a nice little gift from YouTube today, in fact. It's just a simple backpack, but it does have the YouTube logo on it. I don't know really what I'll use it for. I have a book bag that I kind of use already that's bigger than this, but maybe it would be a nice computer bag, like a laptop bag. And again, it's just a plain old regular book bag with the YouTube logo on it. I got that for participating in some YouTube creator stuff that I did, which I really appreciated that. What else? I've got my Little Pony stuff, my Ned's Declassified guide. That'll stay there forever. That Ned's Declassified was really a big part of the channel, and I'm sort of sad, we're not doing it anymore. There's just a globe. There's my VR headset stuff because I've done a few VR videos on the channel, and that's about it. There's nothing else behind me. Okay, so let's see. Here's another question. Custom Muscle Car Accessories says, I remember my co-op teacher, his cooperating teacher, I guess, because he was a student teacher, I guess, telling a student to shut up because he was too loud. I don't think he received any corrective action. What would be the consequences if teachers get caught? I think I said this on, what was it? It was a recent episode of, or maybe it was one of those YouTube videos I reacted to where someone said shut up and I said, they would get in trouble. They wouldn't be fired unless they had done it over and over again. But you're going to receive some sort of corrective action. If it sort of depends on what else happened. If it's just one time, hey, shut up, you're probably just going to get a conversation with the principal, which may or may not be documented. It's not going to be anything super serious unless you just keep doing it or unless you yell at the student or if there's something about it that makes it worse than just that. So hopefully that answers your question. Cute Central says, what was your favorite cartoon or TV show growing up? There were so many of them. I often say that I would have to ride the bus up until I was a senior in high school. I rode the bus. So from 6 to 7 a.m., I would, get my little breakfast and watch TV. So whatever happened to be there. Ones that come to mind, the Pinky and the Brain back in the day. There was a show called Exo Squad. I don't know how I remember that. None of these shows are probably popular now. It was about these people that would get in mech suits and fly around in space and have space battles. There was a show that came on called Mutant League, where these mutants would kind of sports against each other, and it would be baseball and football, but like people's arms would get ripped off and stuff. It was kind of weird. And then what else? I don't even remember. I don't remember. I'm sure there were a lot more of them. Oh man, I just Legends of the Hidden Temple. I loved that show on Nickelodeon. Also Family Double Dare. I remember that show had its disgusting moments. Anyway, let's keep going. Alex Gillis says, have you had any deaf and or hard of hearing students at any school you've worked at? Not so much. Far more common actually would be nonverbal students, students with autism, students with other types of disabilities. Not as many deaf students, actually. Makarov says, I didn't know you had to be 21 to be principal. Yeah, that's probably like the lowest legal limit there is. I mean, think about it. You're not even typically done with college at that age, and you don't just become a principal. You have to be a teacher first, typically an assistant principal or vice principal for a while. I've never heard of a principal younger than 30. I'm sure that exists somewhere. I've heard of assistant principals be in their 20s, like later 20s, but it is sort of rare. Guy Stickman says, you should watch Big City Green's Valentine's episode. Okay. Ashton says, I like your shirt. Yep. Principal React shirt. I used to wear a shirt and tie every video. I sort of have gotten out of that habit. I can do that again if you all would like, but it's just it's far quicker and easier for me to just throw this on. Turner Winstead says, you should play Baldi's Basics again. Yes, I should. Particularly because when I made that video, I had a much worse computer. Now I have an Alienware setup that can run pretty much anything. Yes, I agree with you on that. Malcolm, Reb the Juvie says, Malcolm in the Middle episodes. That would be a good one for me to look at, yes. Kaimani says, you're welcome to everyone who's gotten the memberships. Anakin Skywalker says, do you want to collaborate with me? If you've got... I don't usually do that with people unless they've got an established channel, somebody who's been around for a while. I have no idea. Maybe you do. Maybe you've, got some motion there. But that's an interesting thought, isn't it? All right, let me... Where was I at? It loaded a bunch of messages. Let me at least hit the channel members. Channel member Gold Lee Gamer says, Krabby Patty or Krusty Burger? I forgot the Krusty Burger. I don't know what that is. I don't remember what that is, so sorry. Hank the Tank says, Kaimani with spending spree. Kaimani says, I'm going to ask this question again after you see more Avatar reactions, but who do you prefer as your right-hand character, Sandy or Katara? Yeah, I remember Katara now that I've seen some more episodes. They're a lot alike. Sandy the squirrel and Katara from Avatar are a lot alike. Sandy's probably a little more edgy than Katara is. Katara is more like kind of almost like a motherly figure, or like, I don't know. She's just a little softer. I don't know. I think I prefer Sandy because she's a little bit more like problem solving. Katara is more like, think like get all up in your feelings, and care about people. Sandy is too, but she's more like, there's a problem, let's go solve it. So I would say Sandy. Not by much though. Lodsat says, by the way, there's something I found funny. There's an old Disney show called Teacher's Pet about a boy's dog who disguises himself as a boy so he can go to school. It sort of reminds me of, if you've ever seen the movie Peabody and Sherman. I've seen that movie several times. Don't ask me how. So there's a scene in Peabody and Sherman, and I'm sorry I'm going off on a tangent, where it's the stupidest thing. I laugh every time I hear it. There's this, it's a daydream or an imagining from one of either the kid or the dog, and there's this judge. He says, they're in court, right? And the judge says, I see no, like it's the end of some court decision, and the judge says, I see no reason that if a boy can adopt a dog cannot adopt a boy. And I'm like, really? You don't see any reason why that wouldn't work? I don't know. Anyway, Robin Cruz says, perfect impression. Wow, I'm behind. That was when I said the French narrator. I'm way behind. I'm going to have to zoom through these. She says, I also love your hall monitor voice. Hall monitor. Sort of all right, I guess. All right, I'm going to have to skip some messages, okay? H. Crayer, new channel member. What can we do to become smart like Patrick? Well, in that episode, I forgot what he does. He does something that drastically makes him smarter overnight, which is not realistic. Let's see. Brian Nussbaum says, will you be doing a tier ranker for the Ned characters? That's a good idea. Maybe that'll be, maybe that's the tier list this year. That's a pretty good idea. What do y'all think? So a lot of people have been saying, oh, I miss Ned so much. Ned's not on the channel anymore. Maybe that's how we bring him back. We kind of relive the magic, if you will, and do a Ned's tier list. Just Ned's. All the characters on Ned's, not principals, not teachers, all of them. That sounds pretty good. Okay. Just Paul, I can't read that. JTH says, I just became a substitute teacher today. Hopefully you had a good day. Do not burn out. They need you. Keep on going. It actually gives you some great experience if you ever thought about working in education. Subbing is like a great way to find out, hey, I can do this, or I really don't want to do this. Both are equally valuable. Okay, let me scroll through and skip some stuff. JJ's mentions Abbott Elementary. I've got to somehow do Abbott Elementary. It's got to happen somehow. Perfect Angel, good to see you. Rayburn Cruz mentions the Wonder Pets and tells me what it is. Thank you for that. Brian Nussbaum says, definitely watch Dad's Dessert Dilemma for Arthur. JJ says, you are my most hyped YouTuber for January, February, March, and April. I appreciate that. I really do. And I think I saw your comments or your mentions of the channel about that. Brian Nussbaum says, curse you, the potted plant. This one right here. It's not even real. It's a fake one. Straight from Hobby Lobby or something. Let's see. Robin Cruz says she recommends the Little Einstein. That would be good. Perfect Angel says it's been a long time since your last Q&A. Are you thinking of doing any more live streams of games? Yes, Thursday, 3 days from today, I will do it. How long have I really? I've been going almost an hour. I want to save time before I start getting tired to film some new content. So I'm not going to go a long, long time. Even though we've got 65 people up in here, if that stays up or there's a few more donations, I might stay on for longer because I'm starting to get tired. Let's see. Channel members. Jonas Gronus says you should react to your reactions to react to my reactions. Maybe. $5 donation from, looks like Kaimani again. Kaimani Burrell, channel legend and, principal's office level member. $5 donation. I really appreciate it, Kaimani. He says, hearing that explanation, you'll love Season 3 Katara then. I'm excited for the storm and more. Season 1 Katara is experimental but still good. Yeah, you're talking about when I kind of said which one I liked more or related to more, whatever it was, between Katara and Sandy the Squirrel. So really appreciate it, Kaimani. Thank you for the $5 donation. I think Kaimani, there have been a lot of people that have supported the channel financially. Kaimani's the top. Kaimani's number one. Let's see. If I click on top fans, what does it say? Kaimani, yep, number one. Number two, Key the Quiet Gal, because I think she's a Teacher's Pet level member. John Smith, Shajita, Gabby is awesome. Yep. Let me go back to the chat. Here we go. Where was I at? Jonas says 6 or 7 a.m. Yep. All right, I was somewhere in here. Let me scroll down. Makarov says, what's the first job you've ever had? The first job I've ever had it depends on how you define job. So the first thing I really ever got paid to do was I had a best friend in high school whose dad was a farmer. So what would happen was I was only like 14. I would go over to his house and I would spend the night at his house and would play video games and stuff and just have fun. And then the next day, he would want me to go out and work in the fields. But I was happy to do it because I got paid. I forgot how much. It was pretty low what I got paid, but still I was getting paid. For a 14-year-old at that time, it sounded pretty good. He would pay me a little something for that. And then I also worked at a plant nursery for a while. I think that was sort of I don't think it was like a let's do paperwork kind of job. He would just give me cash for doing manual labor. The first real job where I had to actually like fill out tax papers was at Publix supermarkets, which if you don't know what that is, Publix with an X at the end. It's a big grocery store chain here in the Southeast. I think Jonas Gronis. No, you worked for Ingles, right? I think that's right. But no, I worked for Publix for a while. That was my first actual paperwork, not cash under the table kind of job. Okay. Turner Winstead says, "Is there a Buc-ee's where you live?" There are Buc-ee's in Georgia. I've been to a few of them. It's been a while though. There's not one like really close to where I am. But if I go on a road trip or something, and if there is one nearby, I will typically go to it. Buc-ee's is just a different kind of place, for better or for worse. Sorry if I skip your message. Natster's here. Natster has been a part of this channel for a very long time. Back from the beginning of the Discord. Natster, up in Canada, you are a legend also. What's your favorite part of being a principal? Being a principal is difficult, but it's also rewarding. You get to help people. You get put in situations where people are having a hard time, and you have the unique ability to help them out. It's not going to get a lot of press. You're going to get a lot of press if you make a mistake or, somebody doesn't like you or whatever. The good things that happen never get any attention, but you get your own reward from doing that. Perfect Angel, yeah, Legends of the Hidden Temple, the Shrine of the Silver Monkey. Yeah, I think it'd be scary if you were a contestant on that show and you had one of those actors jump out at you, like, and catch you. That would be kind of scary. Toontail Official says, are students allowed to leave campus during break or lunch? I don't know if there's any schools anymore that do that. Because of school safety, that's sort of tough. A lot of schools have stopped doing that. I've never served at a school where students were allowed to do that. I've heard of it. I have heard of it, but no. Sam Cook says, I've never considered a minimum age to be a principal. Yeah, technically, I think state law here in Georgia says you have to be 21 to be a teacher. I don't know many 21-year-olds that are qualified. I guess technically it's possible. But typically, think about it. If you go interview, which you're typically not going to be called to interview if you've never even taught, I mean, everybody's going to be more qualified than you. So, that's another reason why you're not just going to, be hired straight away as a principal. You're going to be someone with some experience. Do you celebrate June 7th? I don't know what that is off the top of my head, so I guess not. Let's see. Cherish Shawnee says, do students often bring up to your videos to you saying what they watch? Sort of rare, but it did happen. Perfect Angel says, what is Alienware? It's a popular kind of higher end computer, is what it is. Let's see. DeLuna says, did you ever see that Key and Peele substitute skit? Yes, yes, I did. Yes, it's very funny. It does have some bad words in there, so I wouldn't be able to share it on the channel or react to it. H. Crayert says, will you play SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom? Yeah, people do ask for that sometimes. I will do it eventually. Davion Johnson says, how was your weekend? It was good. Krusty Burger was from The Simpsons. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Gold Lee Gamer. Robert Jones, channel member, says, have you decided on reacting to the Splinter yet? I think I'm going to do it. It's just a question of when. I've been way too busy. This week I do have a little bit of time, and next week also I'm going to try and get caught up on content. Anakin Skywalker Kendrick says, I do have motion. Okay. Didn't say you didn't. Didn't say you didn't. So I have an email address that's on the channel homepage that I use for stuff like that. You can send me a message if you really want to. Let's see. Sorry if I skip your message. Oh, Warrior for Christ 94 is here. Thank you. Another channel mod. I don't think they're on Discord, but they are a channel mod. Let's see. So again, sorry if I skip your message. Chill Aspirin, channel member, says, how was your weekend? It was very good. JJ Zone says, that's an option. Ned's tier list. Jonas Grona says, Patrick crashed accidentally and put on some brain coral. Oh, yeah. That's what happened. I forgot. Robin Cruz says, will you react to school episodes of Powerpuff Girls? Yeah. It's on the list, believe it or not. Key is here. She's a channel legend, too, believe it or not. Warrior for Christ says, I've been watching Abbott Elementary. So far, so good. I'm on episode 3 of season 1. Okay. Key, the quiet gal. Yeah, so I know I've said this before. I do see all of yours. I'm not always able to respond just because there are, I mean, we have to admit there's a lot of them, right? But I like that you put them on Discord because anytime I want, like Discord saves everything. So I can go back and just scroll through that channel thread with the channel, with the discussions. So I can scroll through there and see any of them that I want. By the way, if you're one of the 11 people that got a free membership and you're not on the Discord, you now have access to it. So you can join the discussion there if you would like. Okay. So let me scroll back up to where I was, somewhere up here. I'm going to have to skip a bunch of these. I'm just going to have to, unless I see maybe the channel members and until I get down to the bottom. H. Crayert says, you could react to the Latin America dub of Ned's Declassified. Yeah, there were some Spanish speakers that would comment on that and would watch it in Spanish, but comment on my English language reaction to it. It was interesting. Fox Fan Alley. A guy just tried to sell free cable to my dad, and I told my dad to throw his ice cream cone at him, and I called him worthless. Wow. I thought you were saying at first that he actually did do that. You got to be careful. You can get arrested for that stuff. All right. I'm going to have to skip. Where am I at? Way down here. My goodness. All right. Let me just try to catch the channel members. Way down here where Kaimani donated all those channel memberships. Warrior for Christ says, I think it's cool how you do honor roll memberships. What gave you the idea to do that? Actually, kind of a medium-sized YouTuber. I'm on Discord on my own server, but I'm also on a bunch of other YouTube-related servers. And another YouTuber, I think he has 40 or 50,000 subscribers. He was giving me some advice on how to do it back when I started the channel memberships, and he gave me that idea. The names for the channel memberships were actually ChatGPT came up with those back in the early days of AI. Okay. Main's Mindless said hi. I try to at least catch the new people that I don't ever remember seeing on a stream. Samantha Robinson says, Kaimani, you are awesome. Yes, he is. Let's see. I'm starting to get hungry too. My goodness. Let's see. Perfect Angel says, "Have you been watching any coverage of the space station Artemis?" It's not a space station. I don't think you can call it a space station, but I have been watching that. He says, and since you live semi-close to Florida, have you ever been to NASA? I have seen a live launch. I saw it was way back, maybe 10 years ago or so. Elon Musk was doing his rocket tests. It was the first one where it went up. I forgot what it was called, where it went up and went back down and landed on the same platform it took off from. I did see that launch in person. It was pretty cool. Let's see. Hank the Tank says, "You're playing Battle for Bikini Bottom all the way through, no buts." If you say so, buddy. I'm just kidding. Yes, I will do that. Samantha Robinson says, "Brandon, how was your Easter?" It was very good. Thank you. I'm going to try and get to the bottom here. I'm going to have to quit in a minute, but I'll keep going for now, unless we get a ton of donations or something. Let's see. Or a bunch of channel members. Oh, okay. Kaimani, wow, that was quick. Kaimani Burrell with $2 donation says, "You're welcome to everyone who got memberships. Thank you." Kaimani, channel legend. Thank you, and I'm sure they are thankful once again for their channel memberships. Okay. Natster says, "Brandon, would you ever purchase SpongeBob's alarm clock? You would think it would be effective." Yeah. That would probably scare me to death if that happened. If that woke me up. And one of my lights, you can probably see it. One of my lights over there in the corner of the room, you can't see it, has started like going crazy, flashing a little bit. Scrolling down. I'm gonna have to quit in just a minute, but Rocky Rocks, June 7th. I thought it was June 3rd or 4th, my YouTube channel anniversary, but I guess you're right. It's June 7th. That's what they were talking about. Yeah, the channel anniversary. So in that case, yep, I sure do celebrate it. Principal Reacts Day, if you want to say that. Ricky Rax is here. Ricky Rax, we miss you on the channel membership, but we also miss you on the streams. I'm sure you've been very busy over there at, it's not UCLA. It's, I always think it's UCLA and it's not. It's the other one. It's the UC San Diego, right? Yes. I hope everything's going well for you over there. Okay. So you guys are all just thanking Kaimani. Yeah, UCSD. Yep. He says he's been super busy with class. I figured as much. Feel free to get back to us on Discord if you want. I'm going to have to stop in a minute. We've got 54 people here. Any last minute questions or just things that are on your mind or questions about the content? I'm sorry if I didn't get to your message. I always start the stream. I'm like, I know what it feels like to be a commenter and not have my message read. I'm going to read every message, and then I take too long, and then I get behind, and then it's over, right? So, but I try hard. All right. Sorry, Jameson Taylor. He's telling me that I skipped yours. Fox Fan Alley, Pepsi or Dr. Pepper? I'm not a Dr. Pepper fan. I used to like it, so I would say Pepsi. Thankfully, the light did stop flickering. It's one of those like dimmable LEDs where if you have it in the right spot, it doesn't like it. It goes crazy. Cute Central. Do you ever have weird dreams? I don't really remember my dreams, so not really. JJ Zone. Any sitcoms coming up? Other than the other Avatar video, not really. Other than the ones that have been mentioned. I need to do some Arthur. I need to do some Abbott Elementary. I need to go back to Drake and Josh eventually. There's so much. Angelo says, I hope you do more weekly streams every week. I do plan to do another one on Thursday. Hank the Tank, favorite movie, Back to the Future. Absolutely. I always like that one. Toontail officials, do you think schools should teach students to report taxes? Yeah, people argue it should be somewhere in there. The question is where. There's so much else to do. All right, y'all. I think I'm going to have to stop. I'm starting to get tired here. I will do another stream on Thursday. I really appreciate all the donations. I think most of them were cut from Kaimani, actually. Thank you again, Kaimani, and for the channel memberships. I think 11 people got channel memberships. But I'm going to end the stream here. I appreciate you hanging out with me for about an hour. I enjoyed talking to you and answering your questions. But let me know in the comments of this stream when it comes out, when you'd like me to do another one, and what day and time you prefer for streams. But I'll see you guys later. Appreciate you hanging out with me for a bit. I'm going to go get something to eat and film some more content. I'll see you tomorrow on the Victorious Walkstar reaction. Have a great evening, those of you that it's evening for, and I'll see you next time. Have a great night.